Yeah, hi there. And these comments, I'm going to just use the, I'm going to call you Rav, just your nickname, not going to use your whole name here. Alright, so let's see what we have here. So you're sending me some information, your score report, you have 60 on the TOEFL, 11 points out of 30 on the reading, 18 points out of 30 on the listening, 17 points out of 30 on the speaking, and 14 points out of 30 on the writing. So right now you have either you have low, intermediate, proficiencies in the reading and the listening areas, and then in the other areas you're struggling a little bit with various things. But let's take a look at each of the categories for just a second and see what we can pull out. So you're at the low level in the reading. So it says you have a command of basic vocabulary but not less common vocabulary. So obviously you need to improve your vocabulary knowledge. You have a limited ability to understand and connect information. You have difficulty recognizing paraphrase, but think about it. A paraphrase rewrites the original text using different vocabulary, so you already know you have vocabulary problems, so of course you'll have paraphrasing problems. You have trouble understanding the author's purpose. You can sometimes recommend ideas or recognize major ideas. In the listening, you scored in the intermediate level. You can understand main ideas when they are directly stated. You can understand how information is being used. You can see how certain pieces of information are connected. But it's not as easy for you to understand how speakers use language. Maybe they might be agreeing or disagreeing. They might be trying to emphasize. I think on the TOEFL listening, it'll say, why does a speaker say? And then it will give you the statement, and you had trouble with that. So you're also having trouble called synthesizing, which means if the lecture has different points throughout the lecture, you're having trouble putting them all together. With the familiar topics, you can speak about these experiences, but you do have some pronunciation problems. Your grammar and your vocabulary are limited and include errors. It says that these limitations, which means your grammar and your vocabulary limitations, are preventing you from fully elaborating or expressing your ideas. Now, speaking about campus situations, you scored even lower. It says you have difficulty speaking about information from conversations, newspaper articles, university publications. It says problems with pronunciation make it difficult for people to understand what you're saying. It's telling you a lot of information here. This is very important for you. Speaking about academic course content, you also scored very low. So it says you can talk about basic ideas from readings or lectures, but you don't include many relevant or accurate details about those ideas. It says sometimes it's difficult for listeners to understand your responses because of three problems: grammar, vocabulary, and pronunciation. It says you can respond generally to the questions, but you have a very limited response. You're not giving enough details to clearly and accurately answer the questions. So your integrated speaking is not good at all, right? And you already know that from your score report. Writing based on reading and listening, it says failure to understand the lecture or reading passage. So it says deficiencies or problems relating the reading and the lecture together, so you couldn't understand the lecture or the reading passage and you didn't make the required connections. Now if we go back to the beginning, your reading score is so low that could be causing some problems in these integrated areas as well. And part of that, of course, is your vocabulary limitations that you're having right now. Now, when you're writing about personal experience type things, you did better. It says you can express ideas relating to personal experience writing tasks, but you do not provide enough details to support your main points. It says it's difficult to understand how you write because of your organizational problems. And also the language that you're using isn't helping to express your ideas, so you're using a lot of the wrong words, which interfere in your ability to be understood. And then also you have a lot of grammatical limitations in your ideas. So we can see from looking at your score report that you definitely, you have some things you want to work on. And you probably notice that my online TOEFL course, it consists of 7 areas, and you can probably tell that my 7-step system is exactly the kind of TOEFL course that you want to use based on the analysis of your score report, because it says you need more vocabulary practice, you need more grammar practice, you have to have better control of your vocabulary and your grammar if you want to do better in the speaking and the writing parts of the TOEFL IBT. You also know there's some reading and listening deficiencies going on there, right? So my online TOEFL course, it has lessons, 330 lessons in 7 key areas: pronunciation, vocabulary, grammar, reading, listening, and then speaking and writing. So that's exactly why I call it the 7-step system to help students pass the TOEFL IBT, right? So what you want to do is, and I think that you mentioned in your email, you're probably looking for about 90 or higher. So most students who use my online course, it takes them probably 3 to 4 months before they can reach that goal. To go from 60 to 90, it's not easy. You're talking about 30 points here. That's a lot of improvements that you're trying to make. But you can do this. Here's how. During the first month that you use my service, you should focus, I think, in the vocabulary, pronunciation, and the grammar areas only. That's what you want to do. In the second month, you can focus in the listening and the reading areas of my course. And then in the third or fourth month, you can spend your time solving problems and focusing in the speaking and the writing parts of my course. So that's kind of what you want to do. So ultimately, after having gone through my TOEFL course, you will have achieved the following: mastery of 1,700 basic and advanced vocabulary words. That's going to be very, very important for you. Number 2, you will have a much clearer pronunciation and speaking fluency of English. That's also very important for you. Number 3, you will have a much more improved mastery of both basic and complex grammar. That's also very important. Now the next thing, you'll have much better listening comprehension, including an organized way of taking the notes from the lectures to which you're listening. Now the next area is your reading. You will be able to read faster with better concentration and comprehension, and by the time you complete my reading step, you will have achieved a reading speed of 300 words per minute. That's going to be very important for you. Remember, the reading is killing you right now, so if you improve your vocabulary, if you practice reading every day for about an hour, if you improve your knowledge of the TOEFL IBT reading test-taking strategies, and you improve your reading speed, if you do those 4 things, your reading score will be much higher than 11. It should be closer to 22, or higher, I hope. So anyway, when you get to the writing part of my course, and after having gone through that and taking the 10 independent and the 10 integrated writing practice tests, you'll have a much better organization and development of ideas. And because you will have already studied my vocabulary and my grammar sections, you'll have much better control over your vocabulary and your grammar when you're completing your writing tasks. And that's very good for you. And that's going to be good for your score. And finally, once you have completed my speaking section of my course, again, you'll have a much more coherent manner of organizing your ideas with adequate supporting details. Remember, your score report says you're not providing details to support your generalizations. You'll be much better at doing that. You'll be better at using transition words. You'll be better at controlling your grammar, your vocabulary, at speaking more clearly, and a whole bunch of other things are going to make a big difference on your overall speaking score. So those are some of the benefits that you will have achieved after completing the lessons in my online TOEFL course called the 7-Step System to Pass the TOEFL IBT. So at this point, I'd like to invite you to become one of my newest students. It's very easy. You can go to my website at www.bettertoeflscores.com, and there you can learn more if you need to about my online TOEFL course. You'll see the little table. There's a video. It tells you what my course offers and how it works. And that's it. So let's get started. Anyway, thank you very much for contacting me and for sending your information. I hope I've given you some good ideas to help you get going in the right direction.